How can a European criticize and critique gang violence? Our scholarship of the day comes from page 15 of Dr. Howard Zinn's A People's History of the United States. Where Dr. Zinn is about to take us is to the Massachusetts colony near Plymouth Rock, where a group of English Europeans ganged up in a gang, equipped with a pastor, and set fire to Native American wigwam men, women, elderly, and children. Dr. Zinn says, quote, "So the English set fire to the wigwams of the village. By their own account, the captain said, quote, 'We must burn them,' and immediately stepping into the wigwam, brought out a firebrand, putting it into the mats which they were covered, set the wigwams on fire." Stop. These are children and women, pregnant women, mind you. Dr. Zinn says, quote, "William Bradford, in his History of Plymouth Plantation, written at the time, described John Mason's raid on the Pequot village. Pequots were near, I think they were near Connecticut. He says, quote, John Williams says, "Those that escaped the fire were slain with the sword." Stop right there. Men, women, and children. Quote, "Some hewed to pieces, others ruined with their rapiers, so they were quickly dispatched. Very few escaped. It was conceived that they thus destroyed about 400 at this time. It was a fearful fight to see them thus frying in the fryer, and the streams of blood quenching the same. And horrible was the stench and scent out thereof, but the victory seemed a sweeter sacrifice. And they gave the prayers thereof to God, who had wrought so wonderful for them, thus to enclose their enemies in their hands, and give them so speedily a victory over so proud and insulting an enemy." Dr. Zinn says the terror was very real amongst the Indians, but in time to meditate on its foundations, they threw these lessons from the Pequot War that, number one, the Englishman's most solemn pledge will be broken whenever an obligation conflicted with advantage, and two, the English way of war had no limit or scruple of mercy, and three, the weapons of the Indian making were almost useless against the weapons of the European manufacture. Miss me with that gang violence critique. I don't think there's ever been a time in history when foundational Black Americans or any Black diasporic group near America ganged up on men, women, and children and cut them to pieces. But I don't know anything. I don't know everything. Wani, should Europeans critique gang violence?
The mafia.
Hello.
Room over.
No, it's not over, because I'm gonna say the
Irish mob.
The IRA. Yes, ma'am.
We could talk about the Russian mob, the Jewish mob. They had a whole lot of mobs over here. They all came over here in mobs. And that's why Chicago is the way it is today. Those Black gangs formed as self-defense. And then they just kept going. But they formed to defend themselves. A lot of things that we did are in response to what other people are doing. You know, that's one of the things. But I'm going to get they had Depression-era gangsters. That was a whole lot of people running around doing a whole lot of things, and they just glamorized them, and they faded into the sunset. They have multiple biker gangs. They have a lot of gangs right now that are centered around meth. You don't really hear about them, but a lot of these biker gangs and these people like that, they've kind of made meth production the center of their little circle of what they're doing, manufacturing it and selling it and using it, unfortunately, and committing a lot of very violent and murderous crimes. But those things are in context. Whenever someone says gang, it's just us. Even though the Chinese people held a war, the Tong Wars, nonstop violence for 100 years. I mean, what do they have to do to stop saying that we are the face of it? It's pure propaganda. And that's why when he was saying gang violence, those bullets shot those words back down his lying throat.
That's what it looked like. It looked like when he said gang violence, it was almost like a spiritual intervention. Like, you don't get to say gang violence.
He was in the middle of a dog whistle lie. He was in the middle of a dog whistle lie. That's what he was doing, because the guy talking to him was talking about mass shootings and was trying to talk, like, we need to get rid of these high-powered guns, gang violence. Shut
Boom.
up. He got those words, he got his vocal cords blown out, and the words went right back down his lying ass throat. He's the kind of person who sits up. Well, first of all, he said that we should be back in slavery. So, I mean, how do I cash out the bullets? That's what I want to know. How do I cash out the bullets? That's my position on that. He doesn't have to say those things. But you know why he has to say those things? Because I've noticed something. These white movements are never led by white people. It's always some white adjacent hiding out, being a Jew, being an Italian. He's reputed to be half Italian.
Allegedly.
I mean, I could look up his dumpling head and see he's not fully white. I mean, I know what people's skulls look like. I know what his skull looks like. And he's not fully white. It's another case of, some of the nastiest people online, racist comments. They come from Lebanese people with bleach jobs, mostly Italians and Jews. And they had no problem being Nazis either. Italians had no problem being Nazis. Japanese people had no problem being Nazis. So you got to watch these people, what's going on in their dumb heads and how they are really trying to pump their fists for white supremacy. You rarely see anyone white doing this. Who are their leaders? Laura Loomer? She's Jewish. Why are their leaders all bitter ethnic people that are never going to be white, including Hitler? Hitler had sub-Saharan DNA. He had Jewish DNA. He had Arab DNA. He almost had every damn DNA but white. He had more of those others and less of the pure DNA he spoke about. In fact, he didn't even claim that he was pure white. He said we should strive to be this way and stop polluting our gene pool with these other people. I mean, I'm just curious. Why are white people being led around by the nose by white adjacent people? Are they saying the right message, or is it a little bit askew?
It's an audition, Wani. It's an audition. That's all it is. Trying to get my part in the play. That's what you're looking at, ladies and gentlemen. I'm putting some pictures in the Jumbotron, and I want you to tell me, is this gang violence? Would you please, ladies and gentlemen? These people trip me out with this hypocrisy, but it looks like the time is over for that. We're in the age of Aquarius. Look in the Jumbotron, ladies and gentlemen. Is that gang violence? It looks like gang violence to me on a high magnitude. Miss me with that gang violence bullshit.
Yeah, that's another gang. They have multiple gangs. That's all they do. I mean, it takes 100 white men to chase one black man around. What does that say? How is that proving anything? And then eating the person. What are you? That's really what we want to talk about. They want us to pretend that we're the bad guy. Whatever we do is in response to them. And yeah, some people have lost their minds. In fact, people losing their mind seems to be an epidemic across the board. There's lots of crazy people out there, and you better do something with them, or else you're going to be sitting on the subway catching it, no matter what race you are. They don't want to they don't want to help people with mental illnesses because, like we said last night, there is no help. Well, we have to do something. We can't just let people run willy-nilly around. So this is the society they want. People laying in the street, people that are insane. You can't have a society where you're constantly putting somebody down, causing trauma on massive numbers of people, on and on and on. It's got to come out somewhere. Like I said before, if you deprive someone of resources, don't you know that that's going to result in them gunning you down at the ATM? People are not going to just sit there and starve. People are not going to just sit there and wither away. They're going to fight for the resources any way that they can. So a civilized society would understand that you can't step over people's carcasses on the way to your mansion. You can't step over people on drugs on the way to your mansion, or insane people. They're always going to be there, and you have to do something in order to live safe.
Yeah. Well, Ken Burns, the director, said something really powerful, the documentary director, in his Vietnam epic. He said the veneer of civility is thin. A veneer is something you put over teeth that are rotten. And some of them veneers look really nice, give you a beautiful smile. But if you just go slightly below the surface, you'll see the rot and the violence that those teeth endured. And what Ken meant by that is right below all this smiling and, hey, how you doing? How you doing, buddy? Good morning is what we saw today. Professor Chris Hedges says that an uprising, a civil unrest, a civil war, mind you, can be triggered by events that nobody can comprehend. It's always something very small to trigger, a civil unrest. So, and Professor Chris Hedges said the tinder is there, like in a fireplace. It's a lot of flammable stuff in a fireplace. All you need is that spark to light that fire. We're playing with fire, ladies and gentlemen, and we don't know what the spark is going to be. Soheem Perry, what's on your mind, bro?
Hey, man, how y'all doing? It's been a minute since I tapped in with y'all. How you doing, Wani? Professor? It feel good. I feel like I'm back home.
Yes, sir, you are.
Shout out to the family. I just wanted to chime in. I ain't talked to y'all in months. I just been doing so much stuff, but I'm gonna start tapping in more and getting back engaged. But I just wanted to say that with the Kirk situation, I did think it was interesting. I've been rage baiting like all day on Instagram just because I know how these white supremacists and these radical right wing people feel about this dude, and I just been rage baiting my ass off, and they are pissed. I'm sitting here pounding the table saying, I want y'all to have the same goddamn energy y'all have about white on white crime as y'all do about black on black crime. Have the same energy, yell just as loud, and every single comment that's been sent back to me has been, well, per capita, the numbers still support that you guys have more crime on your people than we have on our people. And then other people are trying to basically say, what Tariq has talked about, what you guys have talked about so much. Now, what I hate is the fucking goalpost always gets pushed back. It does not matter. It could be literally 1,000 white on white crimes within the next 4 or 5 days, and they'll just push the goalpost back. Yeah, but this just now started, or why are you dividing people? The only real race is the human race. It started turning into all this all lives matter shit when we point out, their indiscrepancies. So I did find it very interesting that, as you guys have already stated, when he hit the gang violence, like Wani said a little while ago, this dude was talking about mass shootings. he took an opportunity to take a little shot. Like what he said was, the dude was asking about mass shooters. He was like, "Are we including gang violence?" Pop. Soon as that shit came out of his mouth, and so that by him saying that was like a quick little jab at foundational Black Americans. It was just a little subtle little jab, and as soon as he jabbed us, he got his fucking throat blew off. So people got to start realizing, the same mouth that you talk shit about us with might be the same mouth that you might get shot in. And the thing about it is I'm not condoning any kind of violence. I just want to say that, just officially. But even with
in the space, we don't condone violence. And I say again, what happened was unfortunate. But continue.
Right, yeah. I just want to say that for the record, for the sake of the space, for the sake of the platform. We don't condone anything. But we just breaking down film. We just breaking down what we see. So I also saw a video of the brother that allegedly stabbed the Ukrainian girl on the train. I saw the video. I don't know if anybody actually saw the full footage, because most of the footage that was coming out was just him raising up behind her, and then it just kind of paused. It just stopped. But I saw the actual video. What was very interesting about that video is that you see him. You never see a knife, and you see obviously like an arm thrusting in front of her, which appears to be her neck. It was like a whole entire, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds after, where he looks to have stabbed her, and then he walks off, and she like puts her hand over her mouth like, "Oh my God," and she curls up kind of like in a little ball, and then maybe like a whole 30 seconds left, she just kind of slides down the seat. I'm like, what? It was such a delayed reaction. I'm like, if you get stabbed in the neck, like, I don't know if people are trying to pass it off with maybe it was adrenaline, maybe, I don't know, but that footage was very weird. But what I'm trying to tie in together, and I'll yield the mic, is the neck right now, wounds to the neck, attacks to the neck. I feel like we all live in an assimilation. That's just my personal opinion. But it's just something weird that incident was in her neck. This happened with this dude in his neck. I'm just very interested to see what comes next, and I'm looking forward to see how y'all break this down further. Thank y'all, and I'll be back tapping in with the family.
Oh yeah, no doubt, bro, no doubt. Quay Breezy, what's on your mind, man?
Yeah, what's up? Greetings to the room. It's been a while.
Hello.
Yeah.
I forgot that was your account.
Yeah, me too.
Oh yeah, my bad. It's me. But yeah, Charlie Kirk, man. Rest in power, I guess. But as far as I know, we don't know the cause of the death. It could have been a drug overdose or something.
It looks like he was using some sort of narcotics.
Yeah, I'm sure. Fentanyl. And maybe he had beef with the Mormons, right? Utah's.
Well, they said that
maybe he didn't check in.
They said the Israelis, or Israel is angry with him because he said something. They were calling him anti-Semitic, so that might be an angle as well.
Yeah,
but, he's addicted to making comments about Black Americans when they really don't need to be made. He can talk about making America great, you see, and I would agree with mostly everything that these people would say, but if they continue to bring us in, you're going to go down. Your energy is going to go down. You're not going to go against us. We're not going anywhere. You're after us. You came after us.
He was saying a lot of things about Black Americans, and in general, his whole rhetoric was not something I really appreciated. But he's a human being. Well, he was a human being. So, but the cause of death, that's not clear to me. So let's just see what it says. And the suspect is still on the run, right?
Yes, the suspect is still free. They have arrested multiple people and have released them all. They had some sort of person with a Middle Eastern name. They had an older white man and some other people. So we'll just see.
But that was clearly a sniper. So, like, that's, I mean, that takes some preparation. I would be curious to know, like, what actually happened. Because, yeah.
Have they identified a potential suspect?
I mean, I think they said they saw him run or something on a camera footage or something like that. But I haven't seen it.
The only reason why I'm asking is because the FBI has identified racially or ethnically motivated violent extremists, RMVEs, specifically white supremacists, as the most persistent and least lethal domestic terrorism threat in the United States. And this assessment is based on the history of violent attacks. And again, looking at what Professor dropped in the Jumbotron, we've seen that the domestic terrorist attacks against foundational Black Americans, American freedmen, and the proliferation of extremist messaging online. And so I say all of this to say that absolutely we don't condone violence in any way. But honestly, you know, we can't even really make a joke about this without really being serious about the fact that statistically, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the United States itself, has identified that white-on-white violence is a threat. And not just white-on-white violence, but just white supremacists. They're all of the violence. It's a threat to the country, and so it is what it is. At this point, I can't say that it's sad or that it's a shame, because foundational Black Americans, we have been the most targeted group for domestic terrorism in this country. And, everybody just kind of shrugged, turned a blind eye. But when Malcolm X made the comment about roosters, doing what they do, I kind of feel the same way.
Hey, I got a question. Isn't it? It was that older white guy that they apprehended. I thought that was the suspect. Mm-hmm. That wasn't him?
No, they released him. They arrested some Arab guy, and they released him too.
Just catching and releasing everybody. You'd think they're pedophiles.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. It looks like they just want to make sure they have somebody to look like they're in control. I think Utah got caught off guard. They don't usually have this type of excitement in the Pacific Northwest, so it's just pretty intense.
No, now hold on, Wani. I'm from the Pacific Northwest. Utah is not a part of the Pacific Northwest.
It's not?
No, don't
what
gang.
Is it?
It's I think that's like the mountain. They call it like mountain because they're mountain time.
Oh, I call all of y'all.
They're like down there by Nevada. They're down there by Nevada.
Damn, I might not even know where I live.
Colorado, yeah.
Wait, let me check where I live. I don't even know where I live right now.
You banging on my state right now. You banging on my state.
Banging on your stuff. They're east of you, Wani. I think they're like almost directly east, or like somewhere like.
They're next to Utah. They're next to Nevada.
Southeast. They're like in the middle. They're east of you, but kind of like in the middle. Not as high up as Nebraska. I'm trying to visually picture this because I don't feel like Googling. But yeah, but I will say this. Out there in like Colorado and Utah and some of those places, I wouldn't be surprised if there are enclaves of these extremist individuals out there. And possibly Charlie may have, when he went out there, felt that he was amongst brethren and sisterin, possibly. But again, as the FBI said, white supremacists are a threat, man. They are a threat.
Well, Kushite, to add to what you just said, Idaho is a well-known haven of white supremacist camps and enclaves. They even have, like I said, they got camps out there. And Utah is directly below Idaho. Also, Utah, is well known. It's that a lot of Mormons are out there, which is kind of an extreme, enclave. That's an enclave of religious white, cult right extremist groups. So, that's right there. That's all a breeding ground, if you will, for all of that.
But what I've noticed is that a lot of times when they say this area is this way and this area is that way, I'll go over there and they're doing the opposite of what everyone is saying they're doing. Like in Orange County, they were running up and down the streets with F Trump signs.
Black students, we need to know our history.
The black history we're being taught in public schools is repetitive.
As a black high school student, I want to learn more about my history in the school books.
We need to update our books.
As Black American students, we deserve an accurate depiction of what Black history truly is.
I want to see myself in these textbooks.
In the public school system, Black history is vague.
Why don't the school books ever talk about the Freedmen's Bureau? I created the workbook for the African American family. This book helps fill in the gaps that the school books don't. Purchase the workbook for the African American family on OurStoryPublications.com and use the Cash App, $Our Story Publications.